breathe through it. Using mindfulness to handle life's hardest moments. Written and published by MSE Boost. Chapter 1. The Power of Presence. Discovering Mindfulness in Adversity. Mindfulness, the act of being fully present and aware in the current moment, has gained significant attention in recent years as a powerful tool for reducing stress, improving mental well-being, and enhancing overall quality of life. However, the true potential of mindfulness extends far beyond its popularized applications. When faced with life's most challenging and emotionally charged moments, mindfulness can serve as a beacon of hope, guiding us through the darkness and helping us find strength and resilience within ourselves. Practicing mindfulness during difficult times may seem counterintuitive. Our natural inclination is often to escape or avoid the discomfort, to distract ourselves from the pain, or to become consumed by the chaos around us. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that the power of presence can be most transformative. By anchoring ourselves in the present moment, we create a space to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. We learn to accept what is, rather than resisting the reality of our circumstances. Mindfulness is not about denying or suppressing the challenges we face. It is about developing a new relationship with them, one characterized by awareness, acceptance, and compassion. When we approach adversity with mindfulness, we begin to see our experiences through a new lens. We recognize that our thoughts and emotions, no matter how intense or painful, are temporary and do not define us. We discover that we have the capacity to witness our inner turmoil without becoming consumed by it. The benefits of mindfulness in the face of adversity are numerous. By cultivating presence, we tap into a reservoir of inner calm and clarity, even amidst the chaos. We become better equipped to make decisions from a place of wisdom and intention, rather than reacting impulsively or succumbing to fear. Mindfulness allows us to respond to challenges with greater flexibility and adaptability, as we learn to navigate the changing landscape of our lives with grace and resilience. Moreover, mindfulness helps us connect with our innate capacity for healing and growth. When we face difficult moments with openness and curiosity, we create space for transformation to occur. We begin to see challenges as opportunities for learning and self-discovery, rather than as obstacles to be overcome. By embracing the fullness of our experiences, both the joys and the sorrows, we deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The practice of mindfulness is not a panacea for all of life's problems, nor is it always easy. It requires commitment, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. Yet, the rewards of this practice are immeasurable. As we cultivate presence in the face of adversity, we develop a profound sense of inner strength and resilience. We learn to trust in our own ability to weather life's storms, knowing that we have the tools and resources within us to find calm in the midst of chaos. Throughout this book, we will explore the various ways in which mindfulness can be applied to navigate life's most challenging moments. From coping with stress and anxiety to processing grief and loss, mindfulness offers a powerful toolkit for finding peace and clarity in the midst of turbulence. We will delve into specific techniques and practices that can be integrated into daily life, providing a roadmap for cultivating presence and resilience in the face of adversity. The path of mindfulness is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It invites us to embrace the fullness of our human experience, to meet ourselves with compassion and understanding, and to find meaning and purpose even in the darkest of times. As we embark on this journey together, let us approach it with an open heart and a curious mind, trusting in the power of presence to guide us through life's most difficult moments. Mindfulness is not about escaping reality or numbing ourselves to the pain. It is about learning to be fully present with what is, to embrace the challenges and the joys alike, and to discover the strength and resilience that lie within us. By cultivating mindfulness in the face of adversity, we open ourselves to the possibility of growth, healing, and transformation. We learn to breathe through the discomfort, to find calm in the chaos, and to emerge from life's hardest moments with greater wisdom, compassion, and resilience. The power of presence is available to us in every moment, even the most difficult ones. It is a gift that we can offer ourselves, a way of honoring our own humanity and the complexity of our experiences. As we begin this journey of mindfulness in adversity, let us approach it with gentleness and patience, knowing that each step we take is an act of courage and self-love. Together, we will discover the transformative potential of mindfulness and learn to meet life's challenges with presence, grace, and an open heart. Chapter 2. Befriending your breath. The anchor in the storm. Breath, the very essence of life, is often taken for granted. We breathe without conscious thought, our bodies automatically regulating this vital function. However, when we find ourselves in the midst of life's challenges, our breath can become shallow, rapid, or constricted, mirroring the turbulence within us. It is in these moments that the power of conscious breathing becomes apparent, offering us a lifeline amidst the chaos. The breath serves as a bridge between our physical and emotional states. When we are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, our breathing patterns change, triggering a cascade of physiological responses that can exacerbate our distress. By bringing awareness to our breath and learning to regulate it, we can interrupt this cycle and create a sense of calm and stability, even in the face of adversity. Mindful breathing is a simple yet profound practice that involves focusing our attention on the sensation of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. By anchoring our awareness in the present moment through the breath, we create a space of stillness and clarity amidst the storm of emotions. We learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them, developing a sense of detachment and perspective. The beauty of mindful breathing lies in its accessibility. It requires no special equipment or expertise, only a willingness to be present with ourselves. Whether we are at home, at work, or in the midst of a challenging situation, we can always turn to our breath as a source of grounding and support. One powerful technique for mindful breathing is the practice of diaphragmatic or deep breathing. By consciously engaging the diaphragm, the large muscle located at the base of the lungs, we can slow down our breathing and promote a sense of relaxation throughout the body. To practice diaphragmatic breathing, find a comfortable position, either seated or lying down. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. As you inhale, focus on expanding your belly, allowing the diaphragm to descend and draw air deep into the lungs. As you exhale, feel your belly gently contract, pushing the air out in a slow and controlled manner. As you cultivate a practice of mindful breathing, you may notice that your mind wanders, distracted by thoughts or external stimuli. This is a natural part of the process and not a sign of failure. When you become aware that your attention has drifted, simply acknowledge the distraction without judgment and gently guide your focus back to the sensation of the breath. With time and practice, you will find it easier to maintain a steady awareness of your breath, even in the midst of distraction or turmoil. The benefits of mindful breathing extend beyond the immediate sense of calm and grounding. Regular practice can help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, enhance emotional regulation, and improve overall well-being. By developing a deeper connection with our breath, we cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness and resilience, equipping ourselves with a powerful tool for navigating life's challenges. Mindful breathing can be particularly helpful in moments of acute stress or emotional intensity. When we find ourselves overwhelmed by fear, anger, or grief, taking a few deep, conscious breaths can help us regain a sense of equilibrium and clarity. By focusing on the breath, we create a space between the trigger and our reaction, allowing us to respond with greater intention and skill. In addition to formal mindful breathing practices, we can also integrate breath awareness into our daily lives. Taking brief pauses throughout the day to check in with our breath can help us stay grounded and present, even amidst the demands and distractions of modern life. We can use our breath as an anchor, a reminder to return to the present moment and to the inherent peace and stability within us. As we deepen our relationship with our breath, we may discover that it becomes a trusted companion, a source of comfort and support in times of need. By befriending our breath, we learn to ride the waves of life with greater ease and grace, secure in the knowledge that we have the inner resources to weather any storm. The practice of mindful breathing is a gateway to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It invites us to become curious about our inner experience, to explore the subtleties of sensation and emotion that arise with each inhale and exhale. As we cultivate this intimate relationship with our breath, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation, healing, and growth. Breathing mindfully is an act of self-care and compassion. It is a way of honoring our own needs and nurturing our inner resilience. By befriending our breath, we learn to trust in our own ability to find calm and clarity, even in the face of life's most challenging moments. So, let us embrace the power of the breath, allowing it to guide us through the storms and lead us to a place of greater peace, presence, and well-being. Chapter 3. Observing your thoughts, detachment, and clarity. Our minds are in constant motion, generating a ceaseless stream of thoughts, ideas, and impressions. This inner dialogue shapes our perception of reality and influences our emotional states, often without our conscious awareness. In moments of stress, uncertainty, or emotional turmoil, our thoughts can become particularly loud, insistent, and overwhelming. They can trap us in cycles of rumination, self-doubt, and negative self-talk, exacerbating our distress and hindering our ability to find peace and clarity. Mindfulness offers a powerful antidote to this mental chaos. By learning to observe our thoughts with detachment and curiosity, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from their grip and gain a greater sense of perspective and emotional freedom. This practice of thought observation is rooted in the understanding that our thoughts are not facts, but rather mental events that come and go like passing clouds in the sky. The first step in observing our thoughts is to cultivate a sense of awareness. Often, we become so absorbed in our mental chatter that we fail to recognize it as separate from ourselves. We identify with our thoughts, believing them to be an accurate reflection of reality. By bringing mindful attention to our thinking patterns, we begin to create a space between ourselves and our thoughts, allowing us to see them for what they are: transient mental phenomena. To practice thought observation, find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably without distraction. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath, using it as an anchor to ground yourself in the present moment. As thoughts arise, simply notice them without engaging with their content. Observe them with a sense of curiosity and detachment, as if you were watching clouds passing through the sky. You may notice that some thoughts are particularly sticky, demanding your attention and pulling you into their narrative. When this happens, gently acknowledge the thought without judgment, and then redirect your focus back to your breath. This process of noticing and letting go may need to be repeated many times, as the mind's natural tendency is to wander and become entangled in its own activity. As you practice thought observation, you may begin to notice patterns in your thinking. Perhaps you tend to engage in self-criticism, catastrophic thinking, or rumination about the past or future. By bringing awareness to these patterns, you can start to question their validity and loosen their hold on your mind. You may ask yourself, is this thought really true? Or, is this thought helpful or beneficial in this moment? It's important to approach thought observation with a sense of kindness and self-compassion. Our minds are not our enemies, and our thoughts are not inherently bad or wrong. They are simply mental events that arise and pass away, shaped by our experiences, beliefs, and conditioning. By meeting our thoughts with curiosity and acceptance, we create the conditions for greater self-understanding and emotional healing. As we become more skilled in observing our thoughts, we may notice that they begin to lose some of their power and intensity. By seeing them as separate from ourselves, we create a sense of space and perspective that allows us to respond to life's challenges with greater flexibility and resilience. We become less reactive to our mental chatter and more able to choose our responses based on our values and intentions. Thought observation is a practice that can be integrated into daily life. not just formal meditation. Throughout the day, take brief moments to check in with your thinking patterns and notice the quality of your mental activity. Are your thoughts helpful, neutral, or harmful? Are they based in reality or distorted by fear, anxiety, or past conditioning? By bringing mindful awareness to your thoughts in the midst of daily life, you can begin to cultivate a greater sense of detachment and clarity. It's also helpful to recognize that thought observation is not about suppressing or eliminating thoughts altogether. Thoughts are a natural and inevitable part of the human experience, and trying to control or silence them can often backfire, leading to greater mental agitation. Instead, the goal is to change our relationship to our thoughts, to see them as transient mental events rather than absolute truths. As you deepen your practice of thought observation, you may find that you have greater access to your own inner wisdom and intuition. When the mind is less clouded by mental chatter and reactivity, there is more space for insight, creativity, and self-awareness to emerge. You may discover new perspectives and solutions to life's challenges, and a greater sense of trust in your own ability to navigate difficult situations. Thought observation is a powerful tool for cultivating detachment and clarity in the face of life's challenges. By learning to observe our thoughts with mindful awareness, we can begin to disentangle ourselves from their grip and respond to life's difficulties with greater wisdom, resilience, and emotional freedom. With practice and patience, we can learn to ride the waves of our mental activity with greater ease and grace, secure in the knowledge that our thoughts do not define us, and that clarity and peace are always available in the present moment. Chapter 4. Emotional Alchemy. Transforming Pain into Growth. Emotions are an integral part of the human experience, coloring our perceptions, influencing our decisions, and shaping our relationships with ourselves and others. When we encounter life's difficulties and challenges, our emotional responses can be intense, overwhelming, and sometimes debilitating. We may find ourselves consumed by fear, anger, grief, or despair, feeling helpless in the face of our own internal turmoil. Mindfulness offers a path through this emotional wilderness, a way of relating to our feelings with greater awareness, acceptance, and skill. By learning to sit with our emotions, to observe them without judgment or resistance, we create the conditions for deep transformation and growth. This practice of emotional alchemy allows us to transmute the raw material of our pain and suffering into wisdom, resilience, and compassion. The first step in this alchemical process is to acknowledge and validate our emotions. Too often, we meet our difficult feelings with avoidance, suppression, or self-judgment. We may tell ourselves that we shouldn't feel a certain way, or that our emotions are somehow wrong or unacceptable. This resistance only serves to intensify our distress, creating a sense of internal conflict and disconnection. Mindfulness invites us to take a different approach, one characterized by curiosity, openness, and acceptance. When difficult emotions arise, we learn to turn towards them with a spirit of inquiry, asking ourselves, what is this feeling? Where do I feel it in my body? What thoughts and beliefs are associated with it? By bringing mindful attention to our emotional experience, we begin to develop a more intimate and compassionate relationship with ourselves. This practice of emotional exploration can be challenging, especially when our feelings are intense or painful. It requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to touch the raw edges of our own suffering. Yet, it is precisely in this willingness to be present with our discomfort that the alchemy of transformation begins to unfold. As we sit with our emotions, we may notice that they are not solid or fixed, but rather fluid and changing. A wave of anger may give way to sadness, which in turn may reveal a deeper layer of fear or longing. By allowing ourselves to fully experience and express these emotions, without getting caught up in their story or narrative, we create space for them to move and release. One powerful tool for working with difficult emotions is the practice of self-compassion. When we are in pain, it is easy to fall into patterns of self-blame, self-criticism, or self-abandonment. We may believe that we are somehow deficient or unworthy, or that our suffering is a sign of weakness or failure. Self-compassion offers an antidote to these harsh and limiting beliefs. It involves treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and support that we would offer to a dear friend who is struggling. By learning to extend compassion to ourselves in moments of difficulty, we create a sense of safety and belonging that allows us to more fully embrace and integrate our emotional experience. As we practice emotional alchemy, we may begin to notice subtle shifts in our relationship to our feelings. Rather than being overwhelmed or consumed by them, we develop a greater capacity to hold them with balance and equanimity. We learn to see our emotions as messengers, bearing important information about our needs, values, and boundaries. This increased emotional intelligence allows us to respond to life's challenges with greater skill and adaptability. When difficult situations arise, we are better equipped to navigate them with clarity and composure, drawing on our inner resources of wisdom and resilience. We become more attuned to the needs and feelings of others, and more capable of communicating our own needs and boundaries with assertiveness and care. The practice of emotional alchemy is not about bypassing or transcending our difficult feelings, but rather about learning to use them as fuel for our own growth and transformation. By mindfully embracing and exploring our emotional landscape, we open ourselves to new possibilities for healing, connection, and self-discovery. This process of transformation is not always easy or comfortable. It requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. There may be times when our emotions feel overwhelming, or when we doubt our capacity to hold and process them. In these moments, it is essential to remember that we are not alone, and that support is available. Seeking the guidance of a skilled therapist, counselor, or spiritual teacher can be invaluable in navigating the depths of our emotional terrain. Sharing our struggles with trusted friends, family members, or support groups can also provide a sense of validation and connection, reminding us that our suffering is a shared human experience. Ultimately, the practice of emotional alchemy is a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. By learning to embrace and transform our difficult emotions, we tap into a deeper source of wisdom, resilience, and compassion within ourselves. We come to see that our feelings, no matter how painful or challenging, are not obstacles to be overcome, but rather opportunities for growth and awakening. As we continue on this path of mindful emotional exploration, we may find that our capacity for joy, connection, and creativity expands. We become more fully alive, more deeply engaged with the world around us, and more capable of bringing our unique gifts and talents to bear in service of others. The alchemy of transformation is available to us in every moment, in every emotional experience. By bringing mindful awareness, self-compassion, and a spirit of curiosity to our inner landscape, we can begin to transmute the lead of our suffering into the gold of wisdom and resilience. May we each find the courage and support we need to embrace this journey of emotional alchemy and to discover the beauty and potential that lies waiting within us. Chapter 5. Mindful action. Responding versus reacting. Life is filled with an endless stream of challenges, demands, and unpredictable circumstances that can easily trigger automatic, habitual reactions. These knee-jerk responses, often fueled by stress, fear, or past conditioning, can lead us to say or do things we later regret, creating additional suffering for ourselves and others. Mindfulness offers an alternative to this reactive mode of living, inviting us to cultivate the skill of conscious, intentional response. At the heart of mindful action is the ability to create space between stimulus and response. When faced with a difficult situation or strong emotional trigger, our instinctive reaction is often to lash out, withdraw, or become defensive. These reactions are deeply ingrained, shaped by years of evolution and personal history, and can feel nearly impossible to control. Mindfulness allows us to interrupt this automatic cycle by bringing awareness to the present moment. By pausing to observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations with curiosity and non-judgment, we create a buffer between our immediate experience and our subsequent actions. This space, however brief, is where choice and freedom reside. The practice of mindful action begins with cultivating awareness of our internal landscape. When a challenging situation arises, we can train ourselves to first turn inward, noticing the physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts that arise in response. We might observe a tightening in the chest, a surge of anger, or a stream of anxious thoughts. By simply acknowledging and allowing these experiences, without getting caught up in their content, we begin to diffuse their power and gain perspective. From this place of heightened awareness, we can then consciously choose our response. Rather than being driven by impulse or habit, we can ask ourselves, what is the most skillful and compassionate action in this moment? What response aligns with my values and intentions? This inquiry allows us to access our inner wisdom and respond from a place of clarity and intention. Mindful action is not about suppressing or denying our natural reactions, but rather about developing the capacity to hold them with greater balance and equanimity. It is a practice of learning to ride the waves of our own experience without getting pulled under by their intensity. With time and practice, we can cultivate a greater sense of inner stability and resilience, even in the face of life's most challenging moments. One key aspect of mindful action is the ability to communicate with skill and compassion. In the heat of a difficult conversation or conflict, it is all too easy to fall into patterns of reactivity, such as defensiveness, blame, or aggression. Mindfulness invites us to bring a quality of presence and care to our interactions, even when tensions are high. By practicing mindful listening, we can create a space of openness and receptivity, allowing others to feel truly heard and understood. This involves setting aside our own agendas and judgments, and tuning in to the deeper needs and feelings beneath the surface of the conversation. When we listen with full attention and empathy, we create the conditions for genuine dialogue and connection. Mindful speech is equally important, as our words have the power to heal or harm, to build bridges or create walls. Before speaking, we can pause to consider the impact of our words and the intention behind them. We can ask ourselves, is what I'm about to say true, necessary, and kind? Will it contribute to understanding and harmony, or create further division and conflict? By bringing this level of awareness to our communication, we can learn to speak with greater clarity, sensitivity, and respect. Of course, mindful action is not always easy, especially in the face of intense emotions or high-stakes situations. There may be times when, despite our best intentions, we still fall into old patterns of reactivity and defensiveness. In these moments, self-compassion is essential. Rather than berating ourselves for our missteps, we can practice meeting ourselves with kindness and understanding, recognizing that growth is a process, not a destination. As we continue to cultivate mindful action, we may begin to notice subtle shifts in our relationships and interactions. We may find ourselves less easily triggered by the words and actions of others, more able to respond with patience and understanding. We may discover a greater capacity for forgiveness, both for ourselves and others, recognizing that we are all imperfect beings, doing our best in a complex and challenging world. The practice of mindful action is not about achieving perfection, but rather about aligning our thoughts, words, and deeds with our deepest values and aspirations. It is a lifelong journey of learning and growth, requiring ongoing commitment, courage, and self-reflection. By bringing mindfulness to our actions and interactions, we can begin to create a world of greater understanding, compassion, and peace, one moment at a time. Mindful action has the power to transform not only our personal lives, but also our communities and the world at large. When we learn to respond to challenges with wisdom and care, we model a way of being that inspires and uplifts those around us. We become agents of positive change, contributing to a culture of greater awareness, empathy, and skillful engagement. The path of mindful action is not always smooth or straightforward. It requires us to confront our own limitations, biases, and fears, and to take responsibility for the impact of our choices and behaviors. Yet, in doing so, we tap into a deeper source of strength, resilience, and connection, both within ourselves and with others. As we navigate the complexities and challenges of life, may we remember the power of mindful action to guide us toward greater clarity, compassion, and purpose. May we have the courage to pause, to listen deeply, and to respond with intention and care. And may we trust in our own capacity for wisdom and skillful engagement, knowing that each moment offers a new opportunity to align our actions with our highest values and aspirations. Chapter 6. The Body's Wisdom. Mindfulness in Physical Discomfort. The human body is a remarkable vessel, capable of extraordinary feats of strength, endurance, and resilience. Yet, it is also vulnerable to injury, illness, and the inevitable effects of aging. When we find ourselves in the grip of physical discomfort, be it chronic pain, temporary illness, or the challenges of a changing body, it can be all too easy to become consumed by frustration, fear, and despair. Mindfulness offers a powerful pathway through these difficult experiences, inviting us to access the innate wisdom and healing capacity of the body itself. At the core of mindfulness practice is the cultivation of present moment awareness, a quality of attention that allows us to meet our experience with openness, curiosity, and acceptance. When we bring this awareness to the realm of the body, we begin to develop a new relationship with physical discomfort, one characterized by greater understanding, compassion, and skill. The first step in this process is to simply acknowledge and allow the sensations that are present, without judgment or resistance. This can be challenging, especially when those sensations are intense or unpleasant. Our instinctive response to pain is often to tense up, to fight against it, or to seek distraction. Yet, these strategies can actually exacerbate our suffering, creating additional layers of mental and emotional distress. Mindfulness invites us to take a different approach, one that involves turning toward our discomfort with a spirit of friendly investigation. By bringing a gentle, sustained attention to the sensations in the body, we can begin to explore them with greater nuance and detail. We might notice the specific qualities of the discomfort, such as its location, intensity, and texture. We might observe how it changes and shifts over time, ebbing and flowing like the tides. As we cultivate this intimate awareness of the body, we may discover that our relationship to pain begins to shift. Rather than being caught up in the story of our suffering, we can start to see the sensations themselves as simply that, sensations, arising and passing in the field of our awareness. We may find that by neither exaggerating nor denying our discomfort, but rather meeting it with balance and equanimity, we can access a deeper sense of ease and well-being, even in the midst of difficulty. This is not to suggest that mindfulness is a panacea for all physical ills, or that it can replace the need for medical treatment and care. Rather, it is a complementary approach, one that can support and enhance our overall healing process. By bringing mindfulness to our physical experience, we tap into the body's natural intelligence, its capacity for self-regulation and repair. One powerful tool for cultivating mindfulness in the body is the practice of the body scan. This involves systematically directing our attention to each part of the body in turn, from the toes to the crown of the head, noticing the sensations that are present with curiosity and care. As we move through the body in this way, we may discover areas of tension, tightness, or discomfort that we were previously unaware of. By simply acknowledging these sensations, without trying to change or fix them, we can begin to release some of the mental and physical holding patterns that contribute to our pain. Another key aspect of mindfulness in the body is the practice of mindful movement. This can take many forms, from gentle stretching and yoga to walking meditation and tai chi. The key is to bring a quality of attention and care to the body as we move, noticing the interplay of breath, sensations, and awareness. By moving with mindfulness, we can cultivate a greater sense of ease, flexibility, and vitality, even in the face of physical limitations. As we deepen our practice of mindfulness in the body, we may begin to discover a profound sense of appreciation and gratitude for this miraculous vessel that carries us through life. We may find ourselves marveling at the body's intricate workings, its delicate balance of systems and processes. We may feel a renewed sense of commitment to caring for the body with kindness and respect, honoring its needs and limitations. Of course, the path of mindfulness in physical discomfort is not always smooth or easy. There may be times when the intensity of our pain feels overwhelming, or when we become discouraged by the slow pace of healing. In these moments, it is essential to remember that mindfulness is not about achieving a particular outcome, but rather about cultivating a quality of presence and compassion in the face of whatever arises. By meeting our physical challenges with patience, persistence, and care, we can gradually transform our relationship to the body and its difficulties. We can learn to live with greater ease and resilience, not in spite of our pain, but in the very midst of it. We can discover a deeper sense of wholeness and integration, recognizing that our physical experience is but one facet of the larger tapestry of our being. The cultivation of mindfulness in the body is a lifelong journey, one that requires ongoing practice and self-reflection. There is no endpoint or destination, no moment of arrival when we can say that we have fully mastered the art of being present with our physical experience. Rather, it is a path of continual unfolding, of ever-deepening awareness and understanding. As we walk this path, we may find that our relationship to the body becomes a source of profound insight and transformation. We may discover that by learning to meet our physical discomfort with mindfulness and care, we develop a greater capacity for meeting all of life's challenges with grace and equanimity. We may come to see the body not as a separate entity, but as an integral part of the larger web of life, a sacred vessel through which we can experience the full depth and richness of our humanity. So let us approach the practice of mindfulness in the body with an open heart and a curious mind, trusting in the wisdom and resilience that lies within. Let us meet our physical challenges with compassion and care, knowing that each moment of discomfort is an invitation to deepen our awareness and expand our capacity for presence. And let us celebrate the miraculous gift of the body, in all its beauty and imperfection, as a pathway to greater wholeness, healing, and awakening. Chapter 7. Mindful Communication. Navigating Difficult Conversations. Communication is the lifeblood of human connection, the bridge that allows us to share our thoughts, feelings, and experiences with others. Yet, all too often, our attempts at communication can lead to misunderstanding, conflict, and disconnection, especially when navigating difficult or emotionally charged topics. Mindfulness offers a powerful set of tools and practices for transforming the way we communicate, enabling us to engage in conversations with greater clarity, compassion, and skill. At the heart of mindful communication is the practice of deep listening. This involves bringing our full attention and presence to the person we are communicating with, setting aside our own agendas and preconceptions in order to truly hear and understand their perspective. When we listen mindfully, we create a space of openness and receptivity, allowing the other person to feel seen, heard, and valued. This kind of listening requires a willingness to be present with discomfort, to sit with the challenging emotions and experiences that may arise in the course of a difficult conversation. Rather than rushing to respond or defend ourselves, mindful listening invites us to simply be with what is, to hold the other person's words and feelings with care and curiosity. Mindful listening also involves paying attention to the nonverbal cues and subtle nuances of communication, such as tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. By attuning to these unspoken aspects of communication, we can gain a deeper understanding of the other person's experience and respond with greater sensitivity and skill. Equally important in mindful communication is the practice of mindful speaking. This involves bringing awareness to the words we use, the intentions behind them, and the impact they may have on others. Before speaking, we can take a moment to pause and check in with ourselves, asking, is what I'm about to say true, necessary, and kind? Will it contribute to understanding and connection, or create further division and harm? Mindful speaking also involves taking responsibility for our own thoughts, feelings, and needs, rather than blaming or criticizing others. This means using I statements to express our own experience, rather than you statements that can feel attacking or accusatory. For example, instead of saying, "You always ignore my feelings," we might say, "I feel hurt and unheard when my feelings aren't acknowledged." Another key aspect of mindful communication is the practice of nonviolent communication, developed by psychologist Marshall Rosenberg. This approach emphasizes the importance of expressing our own needs and values, while also seeking to understand and empathize with the needs and values of others. By focusing on the underlying human needs that drive our communication, rather than getting caught up in judgments and blame, we can find greater common ground and work together to find mutually satisfying solutions. Mindful communication also requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to share our own thoughts and feelings honestly and openly, even when it feels risky or uncomfortable. This vulnerability can be challenging, especially in the context of difficult conversations, where we may fear rejection, judgment, or retaliation. Yet, when we communicate from a place of authenticity and transparency, we create the conditions for deeper trust, understanding, and connection. Of course, mindful communication is not always easy, and there may be times when, despite our best efforts, conversations break down or become heated. In these moments, it can be helpful to take a pause, to step back and regroup before continuing the conversation. This might involve taking a few deep breaths, going for a short walk, or simply acknowledging that we need some time to process our own emotions before re-engaging. It can also be helpful to approach difficult conversations with a spirit of curiosity and humility, recognizing that we may not have all the answers or perspectives. By staying open to learning and growth, even in the midst of conflict, we create the possibility for new insights, understandings, and ways forward. Ultimately, the practice of mindful communication is about cultivating a quality of presence and care in our interactions with others. It is about learning to show up fully, to listen deeply, and to speak from the heart, even in the face of difficulty or discomfort. By bringing mindfulness to our communication, we can transform even the most challenging conversations into opportunities for greater connection, understanding, and growth. This transformation begins with ourselves, with our own willingness to be present, vulnerable, and open in our communication. As we cultivate these qualities within ourselves, we naturally begin to invite them forth in others, creating a ripple effect of mindful communication that can spread far beyond our individual interactions. Mindful communication is a lifelong practice, one that requires ongoing commitment, courage, and self-reflection. There will undoubtedly be moments when we fall short, when our old patterns of reactivity and defensiveness arise, despite our best intentions. In these moments, self-compassion is key. Rather than berating ourselves for our missteps, we can meet ourselves with kindness and understanding, recognizing that growth is a process, not a destination. As we continue on this path of mindful communication, we may find that our relationships begin to deepen and flourish in ways we never thought possible. We may discover a newfound capacity for empathy, forgiveness, and understanding, both for ourselves and for others. We may find that even the most difficult conversations can become gateways to greater intimacy, trust, and connection. So let us approach the practice of mindful communication with open hearts and minds, trusting in the transformative power of presence, compassion, and authentic expression. Let us meet each conversation, each interaction, as an opportunity to bring more mindfulness, more care, and more love into the world. And let us trust that, by doing so, we are planting seeds of greater peace, understanding, and connection, both within ourselves and in the world around us. Chapter 8. Solitude and Support. Mindfulness in Isolation and Connection. As social beings, we are wired for connection, for the sense of belonging and support that comes from being part of a community. Yet, there are times in life when we may find ourselves in periods of isolation, whether by choice or by circumstance. These moments of solitude can be challenging, bringing up feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and disconnection. At the same time, they can also be powerful opportunities for growth, self-reflection, and inner exploration. Mindfulness offers a way to navigate these experiences with greater ease and grace, helping us to find balance and resilience in the face of both isolation and connection. When we find ourselves in periods of solitude, whether due to a life transition, a personal retreat, or a global pandemic, it can be easy to feel untethered, adrift in a sea of uncertainty and discomfort. The mind may become restless, seeking distraction or escape from the unfamiliar terrain of aloneness. Mindfulness invites us to turn towards these feelings with curiosity and compassion, to explore the landscape of our inner world with a spirit of openness and care. One way to cultivate mindfulness in solitude is through the practice of meditation. By taking time each day to sit in stillness and silence, we create a space to observe the workings of our own mind, to notice the thoughts, feelings, and sensations that arise without getting caught up in their content. Through this practice, we begin to develop a sense of spaciousness and clarity, a capacity to be present with ourselves in a way that is grounded and nourishing. Solitude can also be an opportunity to cultivate self-compassion, to offer ourselves the kindness and understanding that we so often extend to others. When we are alone, it can be easy to fall into patterns of self-judgment and criticism, to feel like we are somehow failing or falling short. Mindfulness invites us to meet these moments with gentleness and care, to recognize that our worth is not contingent on external validation or accomplishment. In addition to meditation and self-compassion, there are many other mindfulness practices that can support us in times of solitude. Engaging in creative pursuits, such as writing, art making, or music, can be a way to express and explore our inner world, to find meaning and purpose in the midst of aloneness. Spending time in nature, whether through walks, hikes, or simply sitting in a park, can help us to feel connected to something larger than ourselves, to find solace and beauty in the natural world. At the same time, it is important to recognize that solitude is not the same as isolation. Even in times of physical separation, we can still cultivate a sense of connection and support through mindful communication and intentional acts of kindness. Reaching out to loved ones through phone calls, video chats, or heartfelt letters can be a way to maintain a sense of closeness and care, even from a distance. Engaging in acts of service, such as volunteering or donating to a cause we care about, can help us to feel part of a larger community, to know that our actions are making a difference in the world. When we do find ourselves in periods of connection and social engagement, mindfulness can help us to navigate these experiences with greater skill and intention. By bringing awareness to our interactions, we can learn to communicate with greater clarity and compassion, to listen deeply and speak from the heart. We can also learn to set healthy boundaries, to honor our own needs and limits, while still being present and available to others. Mindfulness can also help us to cultivate a sense of equanimity in the face of social challenges and conflicts. When tensions arise or relationships become strained, it can be easy to get caught up in patterns of reactivity and defensiveness. By bringing mindfulness to these moments, we can learn to respond with greater skill and care, to seek understanding in common ground, even in the midst of difficulty. Ultimately, the practice of mindfulness in both solitude and connection is about learning to be present with ourselves and others in a way that is grounded, compassionate, and wise. It is about recognizing our fundamental interconnectedness, the ways in which our lives are woven together in a tapestry of mutual care and support. By cultivating mindfulness in both our inner and outer worlds, we can learn to navigate the complexities of human experience with greater ease and grace. This is not always an easy path, and there will undoubtedly be moments of struggle and setback along the way. There may be times when the loneliness of solitude feels overwhelming, or when the challenges of connection seem insurmountable. In these moments, it is essential to remember that mindfulness is not about perfection, but about practice. It is about showing up again and again, with patience and persistence, to the unfolding of our lives. As we continue on this path of mindful living, we may find that our relationship to both solitude and connection begins to shift. We may discover a newfound appreciation for the gifts of solitude, the ways in which it can deepen our self-understanding and inner resilience. We may also find a greater capacity for authentic and compassionate connection, a willingness to show up fully and wholeheartedly in our relationships with others. Mindfulness in isolation and connection is a lifelong practice, one that requires ongoing commitment and curiosity. It is a path of both inner and outer exploration, a journey of discovery and transformation. By bringing mindfulness to our experiences of solitude and support, we can learn to find balance and resilience in the midst of life's inevitable ups and downs. We can learn to trust in our own inner wisdom and in the strength of our connections with others. And we can learn to live with greater presence, purpose, and peace, knowing that we are never truly alone, but always held in the vast web of life. Chapter 9. Daily Practice. Integrating mindfulness into your life. Mindfulness is not a destination to be reached or a goal to be achieved, but rather a way of being, a practice to be cultivated and integrated into the fabric of daily life. Throughout this book, we have explored the many ways in which mindfulness can support us in navigating life's challenges and cultivating greater resilience, compassion, and well-being. Yet, for these benefits to take root and flourish, mindfulness must become more than a fleeting experience or a temporary respite from the stresses of life. It must become a daily practice, a committed and intentional way of showing up for ourselves and the world around us. Creating a sustainable mindfulness practice requires both dedication and flexibility. It means making a commitment to carve out time each day for formal practice, whether that be through seated meditation, mindful movement, or other contemplative activities. Yet, it also means being willing to adapt and adjust our practice to the ever-changing circumstances of our lives, to find ways to weave mindfulness into the small moments and daily routines that shape our days. The foundation of any mindfulness practice is a willingness to begin again, to meet each moment with fresh eyes and an open heart. This means letting go of the notion of perfection or mastery, and instead embracing the inevitable ups and downs of the journey. There will be days when our practice feels effortless and rewarding, and others when it feels like a struggle just to show up. The key is to approach each moment with patience and self-compassion, to recognize that every experience, whether pleasant or difficult, is an opportunity for learning and growth. One helpful way to support a daily mindfulness practice is to create a dedicated space for practice, a physical environment that is conducive to stillness and reflection. This might be a quiet corner of your home, a cushion or chair set aside for meditation, or a small altar or sacred space that holds meaningful objects or images. By creating an external space that supports our practice, we send a signal to our minds and bodies that this is a time for turning inward, for stepping out of the busyness of daily life and into a more contemplative mode of being. Another key aspect of integrating mindfulness into daily life is finding ways to bring mindful awareness to our ordinary activities and routines. This might mean practicing mindful eating, bringing full attention to the sensory experience of each bite, and savoring the flavors and textures of our food. It might mean practicing mindful walking, paying attention to the sensation of our feet on the ground and the movement of our breath as we go about our day. It might mean bringing mindful attention to our interactions with others, listening deeply and speaking with intention and care. In addition to formal practice and mindful living, it can also be helpful to seek out the support and guidance of a mindfulness community or teacher. Joining a local meditation group, attending a mindfulness retreat, or working with a skilled instructor can provide structure, accountability, and inspiration for our practice. It can also help us to feel less alone on the path, to know that we are part of a larger community of individuals who are committed to living with greater presence and purpose. As we deepen our commitment to daily practice, we may find that mindfulness begins to permeate all aspects of our lives, from our relationships and work to our leisure time and self-care. We may discover a greater sense of ease and flow in our daily activities, a capacity to be present and responsive rather than reactive and stressed. We may also find that our practice becomes a source of strength and resilience in times of difficulty, a way to ground ourselves in the present moment and access our inner resources of wisdom and compassion. Of course, the path of mindfulness is not always smooth or straightforward. There will be times when our practice feels stagnant or difficult, when we lose sight of the benefits and question our commitment. In these moments, it is essential to remember that mindfulness is a lifelong journey, one that requires ongoing patience, persistence, and self-compassion. It is a path of gradual unfolding, of slowly cultivating the habits and attitudes that support a more awakened and compassionate way of being in the world. Ultimately, the goal of daily practice is not to escape or transcend the challenges of life, but to meet them with greater skill and resilience. By cultivating mindfulness in the midst of our daily lives, we learn to be present and responsive to the ever-changing landscape of our experience, to show up fully and wholeheartedly for ourselves and others. We learn to trust in our own inner wisdom and to access the innate capacity for healing and transformation that lies within each of us. The path of mindfulness is a journey of self-discovery and self-realization, a way of coming home to ourselves and the world around us. It is a path that requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to embrace both the joys and the sorrows of the human experience. Yet, it is also a path that promises great rewards, a way of living with greater ease, authenticity, and connection. As we come to the end of this book, it is important to remember that the real work of mindfulness begins anew each day, with each breath and each moment of awareness. The insights and practices offered here are not a destination to be reached, but rather a map to be explored, a guide to be followed with curiosity and care. May you find in these pages the inspiration and support you need to deepen your own practice and to live with greater presence, purpose, and peace. And may the fruits of your practice ripple out into the world, bringing healing and transformation to all those whose lives you touch. Remember, the journey of mindfulness is a lifelong one, but it is a journey that is well worth taking, one step and one breath at a time.